Now we are about to learn more about functional specifications. Mr. Onno Tool, can you tell us more about this topic?
Yes, I can, of course. I hope you can see my screen now and everything works well.
We do,
welcome.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, my name is indeed Onno Tool, Rijkswaterstaat, the Netherlands. And I'm going to talk about the functional specifications that are provided by Task Force 2 within Working Group 2. And I think Marie-Christine already gave a good overview of this flowchart that you saw. The TF2 document is right in the beginning. It's basically the starting point after we have explained in the introduction to the C-Roads Working Group 2 documentation. All the documents, the first document is that of TF2. So what is it that we do in TF2? For us, this is a continuous process of collecting the functional and technical specifications from the C-Roads members who have implemented, tested and validated their CITS use case. Then really the work starts for TF2. The first step is to harmonize the functional descriptions of a use case. Basically, do we understand and expect the same thing that we have implemented? And we do this in this part of the TF2 document in a complete technology agnostic way. So to help us with that, we developed a specific template for each use case that helps us to understand each other and to describe it all in the same way. Also for that, we have introduced 3 layers. We have the service layer, the use case, and the scenario. So within each service, you can have multiple use cases, and within each use case, you can have multiple scenarios. And we'll briefly touch upon that later on as well. So this first part of the use case template looks a bit like this. This is the purely functional description. We describe the use case briefly with a summary, a background, the objective, desired behavior, and expected benefits. So each of the member states that have implemented a CITS use case will describe it in this way. The next step in this functional description is that we dive a bit more into the deep and describe it in more detail. So we describe the different situations that could occur within the use case, the logic of transmission, actors and relations. So we give a kind of standardized list of actors and how they all work together to have this use case provided to the road user. And perhaps we need to detail within a use case also scenarios. For the roadworks warning, for instance, there's actually 3. So within a roadworks warning use case, you can have 3 scenarios, each with specific elements and characteristics to take care of. Then we also try to say something about the display and alert principle. This is a bit tricky because we as road operators, of course, don't define an HMI. But what you can find here are the things that we encourage the service providers, the OEMs, to present to their users. And last but not least, in this functional part, we have the functional constraints and dependencies. There could be all kind of constraints or dependencies that you have to take into account when implementing the use case. Then we come basically to the second part of the use case description. And in that part, we talk about the interoperability requirements. Just as you've seen and shown by Marie-Christine and the whole flowchart of the Working Group 2 implementations, the other task forces produce a lot of technical profiles and specifications. Most of them are all generic profiles. If we talk, for instance, about a IGST5 or IP based. But for a lot of use cases, there are specific technical settings needed and to be harmonized to reach interoperability. So that's why we have developed a second part of the template within a use case. That's the part that you can see here. So for each use case, you will find in the TF2 document something about the message profile requirements, security and data protection requirements, communication technology requirements, and the testing and validation requirements. There's a generic reference to the specific document that applies, where all the generic settings and specifications can be found, but also the specific use case setting of each specific use case can be found in the single use case. To be clear about the technology, it does not prescribe you here that you need to use the technology, but it is more if you use the technology, then these requirements apply, of course. Well, this gives you an overview of the current use cases that are harmonized within C-Roads, and you can see it's quite a list already. On the most left column, you can see the service level, where we have in-vehicle signage, hazardous location notification, the roadworks warning, signalized intersection as a special part, and the probe vehicle data. Then you see all the use cases, and I'm not going to detail them all, but I would like to encourage you to read the TF2 document and go through each of the use cases and learn more about them. And as you can see, in a continuous process, these use cases are added with every release. So what's next for us as Task Force 2? Well, as I explained before, this is a continuous process within C-Roads. Basically, our work does not stop. It is ongoing. But to give a quick outlook, we will add, hopefully after acceptance in release 2.0, new automated vehicle guidance services and use cases. And also we look forward to the further collaboration with Working Group 4, and I think you will learn more about Working Group 4 later today, about the urban environment and their specific wishes and desires on the implementations, CITS implementations in the urban environment. And we're looking forward to bring those specific use cases also into the C-Roads specifications as well. So hopefully I have summarized the work of TF2 in a nutshell here for you. Looking forward to any questions and answers in the Q&A session after this. So thank you.